My favorite superhero team has always been the Justice League, ever since I was a kid. During my more hardcore days of collecting comics, I came about 20 issues shy of having every Justice League issue out to that point. I still sometimes regret selling them, but that's another topic. So as a longtime fan of the Justice League in all of its incarnations, hell, I even love the Detroit era, I was happy to come across Justice League of America number 0 from 2006 in the dollar bins, so I could review this great comic for all you guys. Now just to clarify, as there are several different series of the Justice League, this is not to be confused with the first series, which didn't have a 0 issue, and if it did, you most likely wouldn't be finding it in any dollar bins, or of the Justice League America series from the 90s, which did have a 0 issue, which you very well could find in the dollar bin, and if you do, leave it there, because that one's awful. This is of the 0 issue of the second Justice League America series, which began publishing in 2006. Despite being the second title to be called Justice League of America, this is actually the fourth comic book run of the Justice League. After the original Justice League of America ran for 26 years, from 1960 to 1986, the Justice League was then heavily overhauled and brought over to a title called simply Justice League, which later would change its name to Justice League International, then Justice League America, as well as spinning off into two other team books, Justice League Europe, which to add to the confusion was later renamed Justice League International, and Justice League Task Force. This title, which ran for 10 years, initially was written by Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis, which focused more on character stories with a heavy dose of humor and mostly second-tier heroes. Eventually, Keith Giffen left the book, and it floundered for years until it and the other two spin-offs were eventually canceled. Then a series titled JLA was launched. This title, originally written by Mark Waid and Fabian Nicieza, went back to the original founding members, along with some others coming along for the ride throughout its run, and effectively brought the team, which had suffered from a decade of lesser knowns on the roster and a reputation for silliness, back to greatness. It ran for 10 years before ending in 1996, coinciding with DC's crossover event series Infinite Crisis, which among other things brought a new Justice League and a new Justice League book, once more being called Justice League of America, and superstar writer Brad Meltzer on board the helmet. Justice League of America number 0 is the prologue that kicks off Brad Meltzer's amazing run on the title, with an all-star cast of artists. No, really, it says so on the cover. And as the credits will show you, they weren't lying. This is not a true story, as much as it is a series of scenes showcasing the friendship between DC's trinity of Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. The book looks at a series of exchanges between these three iconic characters, set during some of the most pivotal moments in their lives, both in and out of the Justice League. We get a look at the characters reflecting on historical events in the DC Universe, or at least the post-crisis DC Universe, such as the formation of the Justice League, the weddings of Hal Jordan and Donna Troy, the formation of the before-mentioned Justice League Detroit, the death of Superman, and my personal favorite, Batman taking out Guy Gardner with just one punch, with each of the events drawn by the artist who drew the original stories those historic events happened in. As mentioned before, this is not really a storyline as much as it was a character study and a fun look at the history of the most famous superheroes in the world and the most famous superhero team in the world. Meltzer is a gifted storyteller who I don't think is even capable of writing a bad story, and this issue does not disappoint. If you're a new reader of the Justice League, or not heavily familiar with the history of these characters and of the Justice League itself, you may not get as much out of this. However, this is a great read for fans of the characters, and if you're a fan of DC Comics, especially a longtime fan, you should definitely read the celebration to some of the greatest moments of DC Comics, right before one of the most memorable runs of the team begins in the much-loved and critically acclaimed second Justice League of America series. What's your favorite era of the Justice League? Are you an old-school fan? Prefer the bwahaha days of Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis, or the more recent series thrilling fans today? Be sure to let me know in the comments, and don't forget to click the thumbs up and subscribe for more issues of From the Dollar Bin. I'm Dan the Man, and I'll see you next time.